What is going on, guys? Johnny on the track, back with another video. I'm gonna fix what's going on there. There we go. Hats on better. Shout out the Red Sox. Yeah, there it is. All right. Um, Last week of the regular season in NASCAR before we move to the playoffs. We got the Southern 500, a crown jewel, a race that will sell out. There's going to be a great crowd. There's going to be a great atmosphere. Sunday night, day before Labor Day. A lot of people have the next day off, so all eyes will be on the regular season finale 500 miles at NASCAR's really first super speedway that is Darlington now. More of, we call it an intermediate track, but always, always, always puts on a stellar show. I cannot wait. I think a lot, I mean, obviously a lot is going to be on the line, but I think a lot of drivers are going to look to shock a lot of people. So I'm excited. And with that, we before we get into the bets, I will shout out the NASCAR betting preview show, the partnership we have with them, and it's how you might be listening to the podcast version of this show. And if you're listening to the YouTube version and you want to listen to, the podcast version of the show, as well as plenty other motorsports betting content creators, whether that be on Spotify, on the podcast app through Apple. Just search NASCAR Betting Preview Show, give that feed a follow, and you can get geared up with plenty of great motorsports betting content creators like myself for the weekend that is Darlington. Just Xfinity and trucks, but a lot of big names in that Xfinity field. Christopher Bell, I think Ross Chastain, Noah Gregson's a part of it. I see Logano will be making start in the Xfinity series as well for AM Racing. So stacked Bell, if I didn't mention him, stacked Xfinity field as well as a major Cup field as well. And then, of course, with the NASCAR betting preview show, the live show Wednesday nights on X, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday nights on X, NASCAR betting live preview show. So with that, we can now get into the bets. Feeling pretty confident here. I felt pretty confident at Daytona, and it almost went our way multiple times. But unfortunately, Harrison Burton got the huge, I think like 80 or 90 to 1 upset. So shout out Harrison Burton. That was cool to see him finally get a win. I like him. I think he's a nice kid. Do I think he's that talented? I'm not really sure. But I think he's a nice kid, and it's cool to see kind of an underdog story win at Daytona and lock himself into the playoffs. So let's get into it. Major guy I'm looking at this weekend. Well, there's a couple, but really the guy that I want to see win. I feel confident that he is going to at least put on a show and be there when it counts. That's Kyle Busch. That's KFB. His back's against the wall. This is we know the streak that he has and consecutive seasons with a win. You feel like he needs a win. You feel like this is a good opportunity for him to get one. RCR has been on an absolute heater in August, from Dylan winning at Richmond, Kyle Busch having a great run at Michigan, leading a lot of laps there, and then coming second at Daytona. RCR is on high right now, and it's all come after that 2-week break, Olympic break after Indy, that they have really stepped up their game and they found something. So I'm not going to count them out. I think Kyle Busch is going to be there when it counts at the end, and I'm excited to see the show that he will put on to get back in victory lane and lock himself into the playoffs. He's 16 to 1. I honestly think that number probably might even, it could possibly dip if he doesn't qualify well. Maybe he qualifies around 15th, maybe 20 to 1, but he is going to find a way to be there in the end when it counts. He hasn't been the best at Daytona, and sure enough, same thing. He found a way to stay in it till the very end and almost won that thing. Really, probably could have if he decided to just clear out Harrison Burton, which I think at a super speedway probably would have been warranted in the eyes of NASCAR, and he would have been in the playoffs. So he's going to do what it takes to win on Sunday night. So Kyle Busch, 16 to 1 the number right now. I'm also going to look at Ross Chastain, 18 to 1 the number. I'm even seeing it around 20 to 1 on some books. Needs a win. Great track for Ross Chastain. Doesn't always get the finishes of the speed of what the speed of the car deserves, but he's going to be a factor. Ross is one way or another. Excited to see what he can do as well with his back up against the wall. He's about, I think, 25 points down to Buescher, so it's going to be tough for him to really make up that points total because Buescher's really good here at Darlington. I don't see him or Bubba, making up those points on Buescher. I think Buescher is just going to run pretty much around top 10 all night and not have to worry about it. So Ross is going to have to win. And I think that's the only way that Ross is coming in and looking at this race to win, to win, to win. He won in trucks earlier here this season. Like I said, he's one of the faster cars overall at high wear intermediate tracks like Darlington and Darlington in the next gen era. I really like Ross in this spot to at least, make some noise. I think there's also value on Ross maybe for a top 10. I think it's around minus 150. Maybe top 5, top Chevy. I think you can prop a lot of things with Ross because I think he's just going to have a good day and be there when it counts. Tyler Reddick is another guy. 5.5 to 1 the number right now. Don't love that. So plus 550. But he was super fast here earlier this season. He got tangled up with Buescher late, if you remember, and then Brad Keselowski came out of nowhere to win that race. So Reddick obviously ended up losing, but if he probably plays that a little bit more clean, he might have been able to be a little bit more patient and pass Buescher cleanly, but just thought he had a chance and took it, and it took him and Buescher out. But he's got Tiger Woods on the car. He's got Michael Jordan, his car owner, on the scheme. I mean, so usually when Tyler Reddick runs a Jordan brand scheme, or he's got a scheme like this, he is very fast and he's tough to beat. He has been the best driver in the Cup Series the past few months here. I believe he's leading in the regular season point standing. So Tyler Reddick has everything going for him, even at plus 550. Even at plus 550, I think there is value. That's tied for Larson and Hamlin as the 3 favorites at 5.5 to 1. C-Bell, I look at the board. I look at Christopher Bell as having, in my opinion, the most value on the board. He's 14 to 1 on my local book, Rhode Island Sportsbook, and he's 12 to 1 on DraftKings. He hasn't always been great at Darlington. For the last, I think 3 races, I don't think he has a top 10, but he is racing the Xfinity race in a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, so he's going to have extra track time. He's had good runs at Darlington in the Cup Series, and he's been fast everywhere we go. So a lot of times, Bell has a fast car, but just unlucky, right? But I look at this board, and 14 to 1 to get a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, a guy as talented as Christopher Bell, who just he's fast every single place we go. I feel confident that that is a value bet that you have to take when you look at this board. So Christopher Bell, 14 to 1 the number, 12 to 1 the number on DraftKings. I like that bet a lot. 2 more guys that I'm looking at. We'll start with Harrison Burton with the top 10. I just mentioned that his win at Daytona rockets himself right into the playoffs. Plus 1,000 for the top 10. I say ride the hot hand. I think maybe that team now gets some extra resources from Ford with the playoffs on the way. It's the Southern 500. Anything can happen. This is a race where there's a lot of yellows. It's a tough track. You're putting a lot of pressure on the tires, so you're going to have spins. And he's had a top 10 in Cup here before. And if you actually look at the numbers, that's pretty rare. He doesn't have top tens at a lot of tracks. I think he has 8 career top tens in the Cup Series in like 3 seasons. So I think you take this bet. You might even like look at a half or half unit, maybe a full unit on that. Half unit, if you bet $50, that's 500. 100 is 1,000 to win. So I like the hot hand. I think maybe Harrison Burton just finds something, maybe gets a little bit more confidence, the confidence he really, I think, has needed for since he's walked into the Cup Series. He just hasn't been able to build it to win at Daytona. Now that weight is lifted off his shoulders. This is a race where, like, literally, it means nothing for him. Like, we're not in the playoffs yet. The next 3 are going to be big. This is just like, get your points, man, or try to get the win. And so Harrison Burton, top 10 plus 1,000. I like it. I'm going to take it. I'm probably going to put a full unit, maybe 3/4 of a unit on it. Because I feel like this is one that could come to fruition just out of nowhere. But Harrison Burton top 10. And then I'm going to look at Eric Jones. I think you have to target Eric Jones. I don't love the number. It's 35 to 1, but he's a 2-time Southern 500 winner. Look, the knock on Eric this year, and quite frankly, he's been atrocious. He's been awful. That team's been awful. John Hunter Nemechek is like 30 something, 32nd, I think, in points. They just don't have the speed. However, I feel like Toyota is going to do all they can to give them the resources, or Eric, quite frankly, the resources to try to get a fast car and try to lock another Toyota in the playoffs. I feel like overall, Toyota would probably rather see Bubba Wallace in the playoffs, and that's really the one that they have the chance with, right? Like, it's Ross Chastain, it's Buescher, and Bubba, who are the 3 that are on the that cut line, if you will. Buescher up, Bubba and Ross trying to get back in, and Ty Gibbs also like pretty much all but locked in, but another Toyota that if he just kind of runs a clean race, really, it's probably like a top 25. He's probably locked in. So Eric Jones is, I feel like, where Toyota might shift their resources to try to get him a fast car and get him into the playoffs. He is exceptional at this track, just like a really, really good race car driver at this track. Showed flashes at Michigan, which is another kind of like high speed track where you thought like he actually had a pretty good average running position at Michigan. Just again, things really didn't go his way. A lot has not gone his way this year, but I do feel like Eric Jones, there's value to put on at 35 to 1. It'd be a cool hit if he does it. Even if it's just a $10 bet, you can net $350. So Eric Jones, one to watch, I would say. Maybe if you want to prop him up, top 10 is plus money. I think it's around plus 160. Top Toyota possibly is another one that you could look at. But Eric Jones, I feel like is you got to try at least to put your money on him, and it doesn't have to be a big bet. But maybe a tenth to a quarter of a unit is something something to look at. So there is the card again. Let's go through it. Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, Tyler Reddick, C. Bell for the outrights, Eric Jones for that dark horse outright, that heavy hitter, and then Harrison Burton for the top 10. Another guy that I like, I'll throw it out, is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Good, solid race car driver. Oftentimes good at a track like this. I think there's value on him for a top 10 as well. I think he's plus 500 is the number. I want to make sure I'm correct on that. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. plus 500 for a top 10 at Darlington. There's the number right there. So another good value bet that I'll throw out before we end things. Appreciate you guys watching as always. It's good to, last week I was sick when I was recording this, so feel a lot better and yeah, so happy I have like a good voice, and I don't want to just end this immediately like I did after like 3 minutes recording last week. So yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Give this video a like, goes a long way for the channel. Subscribe for more motorsports betting content by yours truly, as well as some playoff stuff we'll be looking at. And want to know what you guys think. As always, put your questions, your comments, your concerns, your bets in the comments section below. And as always, let's win some money. Thanks, guys.